Here is a question that probably sounds familiar to you. Why do action items from retrospectives sit on your board for 3 months without ever getting closed? Most Scrum Masters blame commitments or follow-through, but that's not usually the problem. The problem is the action item was broken from the start. Someone wrote down improve code reviews, and everyone noted, and it felt productive, right? But that's not an action item. That's a wish. Wishes don't get executed. Think of this checklist as a quality gate, a system safeguard that prevents broken action from ever entering your sprint. Now let me show you what changes when you use it. Here is the old model most teams run. Brainstorm problems, agree they matter, write down weak actions, forget about them by sprint planning. Here is the new model you are building. Filter using locus of control, run action through a quality gate, integrate them into the sprint, complete them within 2 weeks. The quality gate, that's what we are building right now. I'm going to give you 5 criteria that every retrospective action item must pass before it enters your sprint. If an action item doesn't meet all 5 criteria, you either fix it on the spot or discard it. Better to walk out of a retrospective with 1 well-formed action item than 5 weak intentions, right? So here is what separates executable actions from theater and what determines whether your team still believes retrospectives matter. First criterion, specific. The action must be clear enough that anyone on the team could execute it without asking clarifying questions. Improve code reviews fails this test. What does improve mean? Faster reviews, more thorough reviews, different tooling. Compare that to add automated linting check to PR template and update them with 3 mandatory review criteria. That's very specific. A developer who wasn't even in the retrospective could read that and know exactly what needs to happen. Second criterion is owned. There must be single accountable person named. Not the team will handle this, not someone should do this, a name. One person who is responsible for making sure this gets done. Shared ownership is no ownership. You've seen this pattern, right? An action sits on the board because everyone assumes someone else is handling it. The owner always. Third criterion, time boxed. The action must have a completion target within 1 sprint. If it requires more than 1 sprint, it's not an action item. It's initiative and it needs a different container. Initiatives belongs in your product backlog with the proper estimation and stakeholder discussion, not in your retrospective action system. This forces you to stop actions realistically. If something is too big, you have 2 choices: break it down into a 1 sprint slice or route it to product owner as a backlog item. Fourth criterion is measurable. There must be a clear definition of done. How will you know this action is complete? What does success looks like? Better communication fails this test. There is no measurable outcome. Compare that to add 5 minutes asynchronous stand-up summary in the Engineering Daily Slack, channeled by 9 a.m. daily, owned by rotating developer. You can measure that. Either the summary gets posted or it doesn't. Either it happens by 9 a.m. or it doesn't. Fifth criterion, valuable. The action must pass the so what test. If you complete this action, does it actually improve team effectiveness? Does it reduce cycle time, decrease defects, improve communication, or make the sprint more sustainable? Here is what happens when you skip this test. Your team commits to reorganizing Jira boards labels, Two developers spent half a sprint color coding workflows. And meanwhile, the PR review improvement that would actually reduce your 3-day review time to 1 day never gets started because you are out of capacity. You've wasted sprint capacity on cosmetic work. If the answer to "so what" is, well, it would be nice to have, that's quadrant 1, batch it for later. You are not collecting nice to haves, you're building an improved system. Okay? Every action you commit to should deliver observable value. 5 criteria, no exceptions, fix it or discard it. So here is how you use this checklist in real time. At the end of your retrospective, before you close, run each proposed action items through these 5 criteria out loud with the team. So, okay, we identified 3 potential improvements. Let's make sure they are actually executable. Take the first one. Is this specific enough that anyone could execute it? If not, refine it right there. Add details, make it concrete. Do we have a single owner? If not, ask for a volunteer. If no one volunteers, that tells you something about whether this actually matters. Can we complete this within 1 sprint? If not, decide, can we break this down or does this need to go to product backlog as an initiative? How will we know when this is done? If you cannot answer that clearly, the action isn't ready. If we complete this, does it meaningfully improve our delivery? If the team hesitates, acknowledge it as a quadrant 2 and move on. This process takes 3 minutes, and it prevents the single biggest reason action items fail. They were never executable to begin with. Now, here is how to use this deliverable starting with your very next retrospective. Print the action item definition of done checklist and bring it with you. Don't try to memorize it yet. Use it alive as your facilitation script when you are wetting action items. Read each criterion out loud. Check them off as you go because this isn't bureaucracy. This is you preventing your team from wasting sprint capacity on broken actions. After 3 or 4 retrospectives, you will internalize the pattern. But early on, use it mechanically. That's what makes it work. You are not just collecting ideas anymore. You are defining work that can actually get done. In the next lecture, I will show you exactly where these well-formed action items go, not in the separate improvement backlog, in your sprint workflow using the Sprint Integrated Action Tracker. Because writing good action items is only half the system. Making sure they get executed is the other half.